This is Sally Ramirez with the Center for Individuals with Physical Challenges. I am the art instructor there, and today what we're going to do is we're going to play with clay. So on Mondays, I'm going to bring to you a sculpture class, which means that we'll play with paper mache, we'll play with clay, and a lot of different materials. So, excuse me, I have a little bit of itch. This particular clay I bought from Ceramic Cottage. Anne is super informative there, and she's taught me so much about how to about the clay process. So there are many other places that you can buy clay right now. Instead of going out, you can purchase from Dick Blick or Michael's, Hobby Lobby, any of those places, and I'll drop down below in the comments some of these resources of where you can buy clay. So this is a low fire clay, or actually this is a high fire clay. And high fire clay means that once it's fired, I can use it to actually drink out of, or I can use it to actually prepare food on it, whatever I want. But with low fire clay, that is more for, I would say, decorative purposes. So yeah, this is high fire clay. So first what you're going to want to do is you're going to pound it out to get any air bubbles out. And why that's important is because air pockets and air bubbles present within the clay, once it gets fired in the kiln, which is a super, super hot oven that's for these materials, once it gets fired in there, it has the likelihood of it busting or breaking apart is higher than if you pounded out the clay. So I've already done that, and what I'm going to do is teach you how to make a cup in the pinch pot method. So I'm going to actually make this a little smaller. So what I'll do first is I will gather the material and form it into a ball. As you can see, this is an extremely hands-on process, and it's going to take a lot of fine motor movement in order to play with this clay. And so why this is so important for some of our members is that maybe they're a survivor of a stroke and they lost mobility in their fingers, and so this is a chance for them to practice regaining some of that mobility back and some more confidence. So I've made this into a sphere, I've made this into a ball. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thumb and insert it into the middle. I'm going to go most of the way down, but I'm going to keep about 1/4 of an inch of clay still at the bottom. So like that. Now what I'm going to do is pinch it, because if I were to fire it with this level of thickness, which is about, gosh, almost 2 inches, what would happen is pieces of this would explode. If that's what you're going for, go for it. But do know that when it explodes, it's going to take out some of the projects around it. Right here. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch with my thumb, my index finger. I'm going to pinch all the way around. Like so. If you hear voices in the background, there are some people who are working on the outside of our house because it is such a beautiful day today. So I'm going to pinch it all the way around like that. I like my clay to look like hands, human hands have been on it. So at this stage, this is what it's going to look like. Again, it's a little thick on the bottom, so I'm going to pinch that out a little more. There we go. And that is my cup right there. You could stop here, and it could be a cup in which you cup both of your hands around and you drink from it. But we're going to go one step further, and I'm going to teach you how to put a handle on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break off a piece of clay like that, and I put it in between both of my hands, and I'm going to roll it out. If you only have use of one hand, what you could do is you could put this on the table and you could roll on the table with one hand. So I have this piece right here. I'm going to bend it into a C shape, and I'm going to place it on the cup. Now, if I just placed it like that, what happens is it falls off. I was waiting to see if it was going to fall off. And so instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a slip method, which is such. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some water and just dip my fingers in it. I'm going to look at the two places where I want to put the handle, and I'm going to dig into the top like that, kind of build up some clay and take that off, build up that clay area. I'm going to do the same. Dig in there, creating this little inset for the handle to go into. Then I take this clay right here, the handle, I'm going to place it on the cup. And let's see, it'll still fall off. So we're going to take it a step further and actually secure that handle. So I'm going to place it back on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my thumb underneath the area where I'm going to work, so the top portion of the handle, put some pressure there, and I'm going to take my index finger and drag clay from the handle on to the cup. So look at that, it's starting to actually become one. I'm going to do that all the way around. Again, the same process. I'm going to drag some of the clay from the handle onto the cup, like so. Yeah, here we go. And at this point, this should not come off. Yeah, there we go. And kind of manipulate it so that it has the shape that I want it to have. It's a little thick, so I could just take away clay like such and then reshape it. The neat thing about clay is that, I mean, at any point, if you don't like what you're doing, you can collapse it, ball it up, and you can try again. Or if you have a limited amount of resources, you can collapse it and turn it into something else. As you continue to work with it, though, it's going to lose moisture, and so it's going to crack more easily as you're playing with it. So just add more water to it, and fold it in, and knead it together, and then it'll become more pliable again. So at this stage, if you want, you can smooth it out. You can get water, you can smooth it out, make it become the cup that you want it to be. Again, I like to make it look like there were human hands on this, so I don't really do too much to it. I like to get a little rustic, a little rough looking. But at this point you can smooth it out. You can also put textures on it. You can go outside, in your yard. You can find some leaves. You could press them in, peel them off, and have like an imprint. You can drag your fingers around. You can put lace on it, and really press that lace in, peel it off, and you have some beautiful textures on it. So instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to put some sort of object on it. So this is really a blank canvas, and you can do so many things on it. Not only put textures on it, but you can turn it into something spectacular and unique to you. You can make a little bird and perch it on the top. You can make little eyes and turn it into a little monster cup that's peeking at you or your children. I mean, there are so many different things you could do. It could be based on the season. It could be based on what you're feeling for the day, for the week, like something that's on your mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a heart on it. So what I see some members, what they feel comfortable with is that they would roll the clay out and they would take a cookie cutter and cut it out. And then there are some members, and there's someone who's, people like myself who just wants to play with the clay and manipulate it into a shape. And so I've played with that, and I made a little heart. And I'm gonna dip my hands in water, make it wet, and place it on the table. So with this cup, in order to put this, adhere it onto the cup so that it'll stay, I'll dip my finger in water and I will drag my finger, like scrape it in the surface and create an area that has a lot of texture and a little bit of a curve, a little bit of an inset. And I'm going to place this hard on the cup right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to really grab a hold and drag some of the clay from the heart onto the cup. Like that. When you hold it, you're going to want to try to keep that shape. Sometimes what I see folks do is they'll put too much pressure and it'll start to collapse the cup. So try to hold it in the shape, contain it in the shape, support it the way you want to. How do I say that? Just try to support it as much as you can. The first few times it's going to take some practice. You're going to want to experiment and see how the clay reacts. But right now I'll show you this part. Drag that. As you can see now, I lost that shape of my heart, so I could put that back in by playing with the clay like so. I have my little heart. Let's see. There we go. It's really jutting out. So after I go off camera, I can continue to play with this or fire it as is. So what's the process? What happens after this? So what'll happen is it will dry. I usually let it dry for about a few days, and then I don't have a kiln here, so I'd take it back to Ceramic Cottage. They would fire it for a very minimal fee of like $1, a couple dollars, and they'd give it back to me. And once I have it back, I would paint a glaze on it. You want to paint the glaze that corresponds with the type of clay that it is. So there's low fire glazes for a low fire clay. There's high fire glazes for a high fire clay. And again, she will help you with all of this. And if you want to stay home instead and order it online, I would say use the resources that I put down below for Dick Blake or Michaels or whatever. And so it would be fired, and then I'd take it home, I'd glaze it, then take it back and have it be fired again. What you can do, instead of going out during this time, and when it becomes safer, what you can do is you can keep all of your products in a special location and just let them continue to pile up. And then eventually, a couple months, whatever, you take them out and have them be fired at a studio like Ceramic Cottage. So yeah, and then after it's fired that second time, you get to take home your product and you get to enjoy it. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Again, every Monday what we're going to do is we're going to play with sculpture. We'll play with sculpture on this YouTube video, on this YouTube channel, and then on the center member page, or on the center page, the main page on Facebook, I'm going to do a live lesson on just art, which is usually painting. And then on Fridays on this YouTube channel, I'll be doing creative writing with you all. The class on Mondays will be at 10 a.m. The class on Wednesdays will be at 11 a.m. and the class on Fridays will be at 2 p.m. So thanks for joining me. Again, I'm Sally Ramirez, the art instructor at the Center for Individuals with Physical Challenges, and I hope to see you soon.